All right, then let's get started. So the topic we're presenting today is a CMDB you can bet on, and the visual design meets continuous audit. There are two logos that you can see on the right. We have Freelucy and Blueprints. Those are the two products that are also going to be part of the live presentations. I'm going to give you an overview of what they do, where you can find them, which one is for free, what you can test, and so on and so forth. Maybe some of you are already users of those. If you are, that's lovely. You're going to see what's coming next. And also important to mention, Blueprints is currently in certification, the latest release. So what you see today would be coming very soon in the store, but it's not there yet. So yeah, thank you again for joining, and I hope you enjoy. All right, so we're your host. A bit more about me. I'm going to start first. My name is Eva, and I'm originally from Bulgaria. Been with Inspire for the past 4 years. I'm an account manager for EMEA, and typically I present myself as your to-go-to person. So if you have any questions from evaluation to contract closure or afterwards as a customer, I'm always happy to help, and I'm trying to be also quick. So very nice to meet you.
And I'm Edin. I'm a technical consultant for 3.5 years here at Inspire, and I help our customers with implementations of our products and all the way through delivery.
Okay. And a bit of happy news about Edin. He passed his exam today, Certified Implementation Specialist Data Foundations for CMDB and CSDM. So this is very fitting for the topic we're going to have today. Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
congrats. All right. So who is Inspire? So for those of you who are new, I'm going to give you a quick overview of who Inspire is, what we do, and where we hang out, so you can get more acquainted with us. So we're a software company primarily based out of Cologne, Germany, and Miami, Florida. We're in both countries. If you're located in one of those, you can come and visit, or we can find ourselves online or in some conference. So yeah. A bit about us as well. We're very proud to be on the Gartner Magic Quadrant for 2 years in a row on the Enterprise Architecture Quadrant as a visionary. And a fun fact, we're the only plugin there. So yeah, that's also where you can find some more information about us if you're a Gartner user. And then finally, the most important thing for this session, and I assume many of you are ServiceNow users, we are native on the ServiceNow platform. All of our applications are ServiceNow certified based on to the latest release, so fully conform. So if you are trying to test one of those for your future use cases, no data is ever going to leave the instance, and it's an extension of what you've already built. So now I'm going to present the suite of products that we're having. You can see 5 on the screen. First, we have Freelucy. Freelucy is a relationship editor with drag and drop functionality that allows you to connect different CIs with allowed relationships. You're going to see more about it in a bit. It's also a free product. You can directly go to the store and download. Then we have Blueprints. It's an extension of that, and building on top of that, it's a solution that is helping you to govern your CMDB data with templates, auditor function, and so on and so forth. Then we have modules. This is the visualization and diagramming solution that allows you to create live data diagrams with already pre-existing data, so you don't need to import it and start over again. And then we have processes. It's an extension to modules that allows you to build your BPMN diagrams, and we support the BPMN 2.0 notation. And finally, maybe also one of the most exciting ones now for the company, we have Command. This is a rebranded solution with a full-blown new release coming up soon that is built for enterprise architecture and portfolio analysis. All of that's into ServiceNow with its own SLM. So if you're excited to hear about that one too, you'll have the opportunity very soon. We're going to present some of it at Gartner in London, Gartner IBS, and later on we have our own release in October. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Yeah, the focus today is Freelucy and Blueprint, so I'm going to dive a bit deeper into those just to get you acquainted with it, and then I'll give the mic to Edin. All right. So we have Freelucy. This is a free solution, as I mentioned, with drag and drop functionalities, and you can create relationships. On the left side, you could see You can create, remap, and delete those relationships. No scripting is needed. All of that is pretty straightforward. Then there's also one more important part. No configuration is required. So it uses your already predefined allowed relationships. So you can't create anything outside of those. And then you have the option to review before you commit. Then we have blueprints. We say see it, fix it, govern it. So in blueprints, you can be the editor of a template. So the blueprint creation, you can define what correct looks like for your organization. And then once you have that, you can share it with a colleague who can work additionally on that. Then after that, we have the auditor function that scores every record against this template. And finally, we have continuous auditing or scheduled audits that allow you to share those findings with colleagues and see is there something to be done in the future.
Right. So today we're going to show you these two products and how they can work together across two use cases. We're going to start off with one that we're probably all familiar with, that is when we retire and replace an old application, what happens in the background, how it can create cascading problems, and how we can identify them and fix them. And then in the second one, we're going to deep dive a bit into blueprints, how we can actually create these templates that Eva's mentioned, how we can then use them to audit them, schedule them, and share them across the organization. So without any further ado, let's dive into the first one. As I said, in this use case, we're going to retire an application. To be a little bit more specific, we're going to retire a CRM system. So it may seem simple at first, but let's see what effects it may have. So we're quite familiar. I hope if you're already a ServiceNow user, you're familiar with the form view. So this is our old CRM system. It's called Medium Core. As you can probably notice on the top right, it will be expiring quite soon and become obsolete in a couple of days. So Eva here is a steward and a business owner. She's asked me to help her with what IT has put pressure on her, and that is to map the new CRM system in the same way that the legacy one is. And here you can see a widget in the form view of Freelucy, so it makes the first level relationships quite visually nice and easy to notice. So we have 4 instances of this business application, everything from development to production. And IT is telling us, well, this new application, business application, has to follow the same template that the old one did. So at first, it seems a quite simple task, right? We're going to connect the new business application if it's not already connected to its application services, and the job should be done there. At least that's Eva's thought, so she's asked me to help her with it. So here's the new one, 5-core CRM. As you can notice at the top, it's still in planning stage, so we have quite some time. It will only become active in September. But as you can already tell, it doesn't have any relationships. The Freelucy widget tells us this application does not have any application services linked to it. Even though IT's told us that the new application has application services discovered. They should be present in the CMDB. So our task here should be quite simple, right? We're just going to connect what's already in the CMDB to business application, and we're going to do that using Freelucy. Now, to achieve this, we're going to head on over in the filter navigator into UDesign Freelucy. It's going to open a new tab, our application, and on the left we can see all the tables which are available to be connected. So lucky for us, business application is a common one. It's right there. We're going to find our new CRM system, which is 5-core. And here it is. On the canvas, we see there are no upstream and downstream relationships. So we're going to fix this, right? We're going to head on over to the left into Data Hub, find the discovered application services of this business application. So let's start by finding 5-core. We can either click the arrow to add the downstream relationship or drag and drop it to the right. As you can see now, there are 2 future relationships there. You can note that they're not committed to the CMDB yet, as the relationships themselves are grayed out, and also by the fact that there's a number 2 on the commit button in the top right corner as well. We can go ahead and commit it, review it first. We're going to check what kind of relationships are we adding. So it's a has instance, downstream, and commit. Voila, that's as simple as that. our job should be done here. However, IT is telling us now that we should verify this against their template. They're saying that the current CRM system already has a template defined and that we just need to verify that it's correct. So to do that, we're going to head into UDesign Blueprints. And lucky for us, it's right there. There is CRM infrastructure landscape. So we're just going to go ahead and open it. As you can see, it doesn't seem to be as simple as we originally thought, but let's take it one step at a time. So each box on the canvas represents a class that is the table in ServiceNow, and the arrows represent the suggested relationships which are defined in your CMDB. So we can see that the median core, just as in the form view, has connected application services, and they're highlighted to the right. Also, the application services themselves depend on server, in this case, ESX servers, and databases. And then furthermore, the ESX server itself depends or uses, is registered on virtual machine instances, maybe a part of the cluster, or is contained in the data center. So let's just see how we can actually see these relationships. So if I click on the application service of the median core, I can see that it has relationships to all of these other classes. And if I click on ESX server, I'm going to see that highlighted are also all the relationships or all the records that it's related to. So unless the application services, which we'd connected to our business application, are already connected in this template, in the manner of this template, I suspect that we may not be conformant to IT standards. So to actually check that, I'm going to open Data Hub. I can see that only the tables which are on the canvas are present. I'm going to select Business Application and find Pipecore. I can click plus, or more appropriate to drag and drop it into the relevant table. So as I draw Pipecore, it's going to bring in its application services with it. However, as you can see, the application services did not bring anything in. And what these green checkboxes next to the records mean is that the record itself is compliant. And in our case, the Pipecore production and development have a red arrow, which means they're not compliant according to this template. And as you can see, our score went down from 100% to 95 with 2 relationship issues. Now I'm going to assume that there's problems with both relationships for production and development, and that is correct. So Pipecore production does not have an ESX server connected to it, where I could go ahead and just select the one from median core, and as you can see, it would already make Pipecore compliant. However, that's just not the case because they don't run on the same thing. So I'm going to actually go ahead and bring in the ESX server of this application service. As you can see, ESX Detroit is already present on the canvas, therefore it's highlighted in green. So I'm going to bring in Frankfurt. And as I said, this will expose cascading problem because it seems that this ESX server itself is not compliant, but let's take it one step at a time. So if I go back to Pipecore production, I just want to connect it to its appropriate server first. Again, I can see that even though I'm connecting it, the server itself is not compliant. But let's first, like I said, fix one problem at a time. So I'm going to connect the production to this server. As you can see, it's highlighted as a future relationship. So nothing's committed to the CMDB until you make the decision. So I'm going to do the same for development. And as you can see, it highlights what kind of relationship it is. Orange means it's an inherited relationship from the logical class of this CI. And let's see why this one is not compliant. But before I do that, I can save this template and work on it later. So nothing's committed to the CMDB yet. They are future compliant, but not in the CMDB yet. So as you can see, we can commit these 2 relationships now, just so it's reflected in the CMDB as well. The same way in Freelucy, we could see that what kind of relationship we're creating. We're doing the same here in Blueprints. So let's zoom in a little bit just to see how we can actually read now that there's multiple records on the canvas. So as you can see, median core will only highlight its own application services, and the same is true for median core production. It will highlight the ESX server that it's connected to. Now, let's focus on Pipecore production. Like I said, database and server were optional. For compliance, we only had to connect an ESX server. However, the other classes are there for easier understanding. Now let's see, why is ESX Detroit compliant and Frankfurt not? So if we go back into data panel, we see that the record does not fulfill relationship rules. There are 13 relationships available. However, we only need to actually register it on a virtual machine instance. And in this case, for simplicity reasons, we're just going to select the one that's already present and save it and commit it to the CMDB. Now, this makes our blueprint, again, fully compliant with IT standards. They should be happy now with Eva and me. And our job is finally done. So what seemed at first to be quite simple on the base level, on the surface level with level 1 relationships, actually exposed problems down the line in our CMDB. So just a quick recap of what just happened. Eva and I were tasked with connecting our business application to application services. We did that. However, when asked by IT to audit it on a bigger picture, we identified further problems in blueprints. We fixed them. We could have done the same in Freelucy. We could have gone to mapped application service, found the record, and connected it to server. However, blueprints makes it a bit easier to find the records and also visualize the relationships on a bigger scale.
So Edin, thank you for showing use case 1. That was very useful, but I have a few questions. And first one is, yes, can we undo a future state change before committing it?
Absolutely. So nothing is committed until we decide to do that. And we can even change the relationships, even remove existing ones.
Okay, that's good to know. And who in the organization can publish those relationships?
So we don't bring in any new rules or ACLs. We are going to respect all the ACLs, access rules that you already have in ServiceNow present. So if I can create a relationship outside of Blueprints and Freelucy, I can do exactly the same in our products.
Okay, so no extra work is needed. All right.
No extra work. Now, I understand that this is a complicated question.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any more?
Yeah, one more final, I promise.
Go for
so what tables can I actually see, and does that include custom tables? Or only out?
So in Freelucy, everything that's a CI that can be connected with a relationship is there. That includes also, and also goes for blueprints. It also includes custom tables, so long as they can be connected.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, thank you.
And I understand that this was a complicated example. This gives you an idea of your enterprise may have a complicated IT infrastructure. So we're going to take the second use case to break it down, create a template, and have a bit of a simpler use case to show you even the advanced features of blueprints. So in our second use case, we're going to be in SPY Bank, and we have just acquired Northgate. We got their business applications, and we want to map them to our capabilities. So as you can see here, if you're familiar with the list view in ServiceNow, we have Northgate's business applications, which have landed in our CMDB alongside our own NSPY Bank business applications. Now, our job today is actually to map Northgate's business applications to capabilities, and also to verify both our business applications and business applications of Northgate that they're compliant. So, as I said, and I promised, we're going to build a template from scratch. So we land in blueprints, hit manage template, and create a new one. We're going to give it a descriptive name at the top. So let's call it NSPY Bank Business Capabilities to Business Application. What I will need, if you remember from the last use case, I'll need to drag and drop the tables which are relevant to this template. So in our case, let's start with business application. On the left, I can find all the tables which are relevant. So here's business application. If I hit plus, it's dropped there. And I also would need business capability. I can drag and drop, reorganize however I'd like, and the suggested relationship will be drawn automatically. Just to make it a bit more interesting, we're also going to bring in, again, application services. So we're going to verify, in this case, a little bit more advanced use case, but let's first remove the relationships which we're not interested in this case. So we don't care about anything that's related on the scale from capability to application service, as well as pointing from application service back to business application. We only care about has instance for business application to mapped application service. And we only care about a specific use case, that is that each business application has to have one productive mapped application service. So I'm going to say required one, and I only care about the ones which are productive. And to make things a bit more interesting, I do not care about business applications which are obsolete when it comes to relationship from capabilities to business applications. So in our organization, each capability has to have a business application related, which is not obsolete. So, and the vice versa. So each business application needs to be connected to at least one business capability, so that we don't have hoarding of business applications on one capability. So I'm going to say that the internal lifecycle is not obsolete. And as a final caveat, because our organization is huge and we have many capabilities and applications, I'm going to filter the capabilities and applications themselves. So for capabilities, I only care about the ones which are under Inspire Bank, so the top level. So here I can just add the filter where company is Inspire Bank. And for business applications, I care about both Northgate and Inspire. As you can see on the business capabilities and business applications already, the little funnel becomes blue, notifying us that we're only working on the subset of data, so only the filtered list. Now I'm happy with this template, so I'm going to save it and head on back to homepage of blueprints. So I'm going to create a new blueprint to test it out on a couple of business applications. So I'm asked to select a template. I'm going to select the one which we just created, and on the right you can see what it's based on. So I'm not going to name it yet, but what I will do is I will drag a couple of business applications on. So let's try it out. So if you remember, Northgate's business applications had NG as a prefix. So I'm going to take core ledger, hit plus, and it's going to bring in everything that's related to it. So this is a fully compliant business application, as it's not obsolete. It has a financial consolidation business capability and a productive alongside other mapped application services. However, Cardcore, when brought in, is not fully compliant. It does have a productive mapped application service, but no business capabilities linked to it. So let's head back into Freelucy and actually try to fix this. So if you remember, to do that, we just head on over into Freelucy. Same way we did in use case 1. We find the class that we care about. So business application at the top is ready for us. We find Cardcore, hit edit. We see all the application instances which are present as downstream relationships, and we open Data Hub. We search for capabilities. Now, let's say I'm not quite familiar with Inspire Bank's capabilities, so I'm just going to find something that sounds correct. So something with financials, let's say card financial settlements. So you see an upstream relationship is there as future relationship. So I'm just going to commit it. This should provide my business application should provide this and should be compliant. Let's see if it is. So let's head on back to our blueprint, which we created, and verify. So I'm going to add Cardcore again to our blueprint just to see what happens. That didn't quite work. And if you're wondering why, the reason is probably, if you remember at first, that we only cared about Inspire Bank's capabilities. So let's verify. What we had to do in order for this to be compliant is connect this business application to a capability where companies Inspire Bank, and this one does not have a company present, so therefore it does not count towards this compliance. Now, as you can see, we can fix it now again in blueprints. We don't have to go again into Freelucy, though we can, or our colleagues could use Freelucy while we use blueprints. So I'm going to find one that is Inspire Bank's Fraud detection doesn't seem that correct. So let's find something that does. Let's use expense management. Expense management, when brought in, brought its own business application, which is ExpenseWise, which itself is a InSpy Bank's business application. However, it seems that it doesn't have any application services. But let's first fix CardCore. So we're going to create a future state relationship, and it becomes fully compliant, though ExpenseWise is not yet. I could select one of the ones that are already on the canvas, but that wouldn't be correct, as they are not from they're not application services of ExpenseWise. So I'm just going to name this blueprint for the time being and save it. And I'm going to go ahead and fix it in Freelucy. So the same way I did it before, ExpenseWise, edit. And on the left in the data hub, I'm going to find the application service. Let's see what's been discovered in our CMDB. And it seems like we have productive instance. Let's commit it and go back to blueprints just to verify once more. So to check it again, let's first load the business application, which we just connected to its productive instance, so ExpenseWise. And as you can see, it brought its mapped application service, and all of them are fully compliant. So for these 2 or 3 cases, it seems that we've fixed the issue. Let's commit it to the CMDB, and we should be done. Now you're probably wondering, this is great to audit one by one, and it is true. So if you're only a owner of a couple of business applications, that would work. But if you have many, or if your organization has many business applications, you would probably need something a bit more automated. So to actually run this on a big scale, we are going to use Auditor. What Auditor allows us is to actually run this on a larger set of data. So let's run it slowly. So we're going to select Auditor, select a template, which we just created, and we're presented with all the records on the left, which we can audit. So anything from business applications to mapped application services. In our case, we're going to select all of our business applications. So that includes InSpy Bank and Northgate Bank, and we're going to hit run. And you can see it running in real time and auditing all of those relationship rules. So one by one, we're going to get a result for each of them. And as you can see, with the number on the left in red, it shows us how many problems we have to deal with. And it seems even like we have quite some in our organization. So for example, ServiceBridge, which is an InSpy Bank application, has the capability, but no productive application service. And Risk Sentinel has neither a capability nor an application service connected to it. Now let's find the ones that we just created. So CardCore and Core Ledger, which seem to be fine. So it seems that only the 3 that we checked in our original blueprint are compliant, and everything else isn't. So what I could do now is I could export the result of this audit as a PDF and share it across the organization. Now, we all know that can be quite cumbersome, as we may not know who the owners are, we may not know their emails, we may not even want to do that much work. So there is one more, even a more advanced feature of blueprints, which we can use to actually cement this. So let's head back to the homepage of blueprints and hit reviews. We're going to create a scheduled audit, which is going to run daily on the template which we just created. So I'm going to name it something appropriate, such as InSpy Bank Automated Audit. And I'm going to have it run every morning and notify me as well when it does, because I want to know. Before that, I'm going to select the template that I care about. I'm going to notify me when it runs. And I'm going to add the owners for each record. So I could either do the group, any group, or a field from the record. So I'm going to use steward on both capabilities and business applications. And if that doesn't have anyone, I'm just going to use our regular scapegoat and have Eva deal with it. So now that this is saved, we're going to fast forward to tomorrow when it runs and look at the findings that it's created. And it seems like we've got quite some, both in business applications and in business capabilities. So we're hitting 70 already. So let's group them. We can do by table, template, or responsible. In this case, I only care about what I'm responsible for. So there's 20 things that I have to deal with. And I already have a problems described here. So for invoice capture, it seems that it doesn't have an application instance ready. It does have a business capability, which is fine, but just like in other issues, like in other examples, we do not have a productive application service. In the interest of time and not repeating ourselves for the fourth time, let's assume that we've created this relationship in Freelucy now, and we just want to drag in the invoice captures map application service. However, it's still not compliant, as I only have a development instance of invoice capture discovered and not the whole suite. So Eva, it seems that there's quite some work to be done in our organization when it comes to this merger and acquisition.
Yep. Unfortunately, we need to throw our
So
sleeves.
what
Alright.
just happened? We designed this blueprint of how we want each record in our business application table to be connected to capabilities and application services. We may have fixed some and they landed in our CMDB. However, when audited, we found more problems either down the line or with other records that we're not responsible for. And then we can delegate that work to other people, fix them at source. And as with any other organization, this evolves, the templates change, the rules change, compliance changes. So really, this is a continuous work that keeps on going in any organization.
Thank you, Edin. Thank you for both use cases. Awesome. Yeah.
Thank
All right. So thank you, everybody. If you're curious on how those application works, you can straightforward go to the ServiceNow Store. Freelucy is for free. You can directly start using it in your own instance. And UDesign Blueprints is a paid application. However, you could have a 30-day trial, and afterwards, everything is going to be deleted that you've done. So go ahead and test it. And if you need our support and you want us to show you something more in depth, you could book a live demo with us at inspire.com, book a call. Or if you prefer an email with sales@inspire, you can find a way to find us. Yeah. Thanks so much. So let's move to the Q&A. Let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to unmute yourself. Today's focus was on Freelucy and Blueprints, and today's use cases were retiring a legacy CRM, and the second one was mergers and acquisitions. Inspire Bank was acquired Northgate Bank.
Maybe the one from Roberto, but I see it's already answered by Freddie, but let's take it up. Hello, how could this help me map a complex landscape like ERP with different modules, serving different business capabilities, different environments, and used in different countries, maybe with different module adoption? What you'd seen us do today is use a single blueprint for the whole organization. However, they can also be broken down into multiple templates. So if you need to do it per country, and if certain countries or regions have different rules, you could create different templates for those rules and then filter based only on the data that's relevant to that country. So for example, you can say that in country A, we need to have 2 capabilities per business application. We could create a template for that, whereas in country B, we have a different rule, and then that can be audited against a different template.
This is Jeff Aldrich. I got a good question. I think I know the answer, but I just want to confirm. You showed the ability to use blueprints against some of the most common tables, business capability, business applications, instances down. I'm assuming that it can be run across any table in the database. So if you wanted to, for instance, make sure that a particular solution service was mapped to a particular pattern of business application, it pretty much any combination you can come up with, you can enforce or audit against any of the tables to be able to make sure that the proper relationships are being created in the database at all times, right? Correct?
Absolutely. And also that includes custom tables. So if you extended your CMDB to use other tables which are not present out of the box, that's also fine.
Awesome, thanks.
All right, any other questions? Feel free to unmute and just shoot it right at us.
Well, yes. Is it possible to also filter on which business application I want to analyze in the blueprint graphically, or do I need to always explicitly put the filter in typing?
It would have to be in typing, right? Because the filters themselves could be related to reference fields or list fields or any other type of field in ServiceNow. So in the auditor itself, I dragged and dropped all of the business applications. However, I could have just as well selected a couple and ran that audit just against, let's say, a handful of business applications, the ones that I handpicked, or I could just take everything that's there.
Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, if that's all, thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something today. And we're gonna reach out to you once the recordings are done, and we're gonna connect. And if somebody of you is going to Gartner AIBS, happy to see you there on 14th and 15th of September. Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.